So this is going to be my white box level, just a brief overview, just to talk you through what's going on in the video. I won't be going through the blueprints as that'll be part of the research journal. So here to begin with, we start off with a nice little animation of a plane crashing. This is part for story reasons. Obviously, you start off on an island, and you come down in this plane crash. So as you can see on the screen here, at the very start, you come up with these controls and a little bit of narrative. You also get information about the current objective, which is really nice for the player to sort of see right at the beginning. Now, what's really helpful is the fact that the area around the starting area is all closed off, so you cannot go out of it, which sort of gives that sort of confined space feeling towards the player, which is really sort of helpful for directing the player in what way to go. Now, at this point, the player has a choice between two ways. Obviously, the first way, which you just saw, up the stairs and jumping across, or up the wooden plank in order to get up to the top here. So now this is sort of where the gameplay really starts to happen. This is where the player will see the island in full. They get like little snippets, as you can see on the right hand side. You've got a lighthouse and a set of lights, and to the left obviously you can see out into deep ocean, sorry. What's also cool is there's a nice little mechanic there which allows you to, when you hit a certain boundary, if it's the player that it collides with, then you'll get teleported back up, sort of preventing players from getting stuck. Now here there's a small little camera animation just to sort of show the player a small little snippet of what's to come as far as what's going to be in the level. And yeah, so far it's just sort of to keep the player engaged. You know, the whole storyline behind it is that you end up on this island via a plane crash, and you know, you don't know who's on this island, what's on this island, and it's you know, your objective to find out who and what is on this island. At first, you know, it comes to the idea that you need to get that it's the natives and their people, but as you slowly progress through it, you become to realise that it's like advanced technology. So but again, that's more stuff for the research journal. So as you just saw, there was a couple of more narrative bits popping up to sort of provide the player with a bit of direction of where to go. Obviously they've just picked up an axe, and by pressing tab or I you can access the inventory. It's only a very simple inventory, but it, you know, does the job. Now coming out into sort of like the main area of the level, this is where you're hit with like a fork in the road. So you can either go left and go to one of the key locations, or you can go right and straight and end up in the same location. The right path, obviously you need to get an item later on, which I will explain later, but they both at the minute lead to this point here. So essentially the player would be drawn to the lights, and they would see this part of the map is all lit up, so they want to go and investigate it, and they'd see that they need keys to open this door. And obviously what I'd be hoping is that players, when they'd come to here, they would see that inside of these like containment centers would have the keys in them. So what I was trying to push towards players, that inside they would find the keys inside these containment boxes, and that would obviously then allow them to progress into the next area. So now it's the player's job of finding where to get these keys from and where to find them. So the player would then have to backtrack and go into areas that they haven't actually investigated yet. So obviously in this example we're going to go straight to the right, and in this one it's a simple button puzzle where you just have to press 4 buttons and it opens a door, as you'll see now. They all turn green, which is really helpful. Something I forgot to mention and showcase in the video, I think, is obviously I didn't want players going too far out into sea, and so I added the similar warp mechanics blueprint, sorry, that I did in the previous jumping puzzle where you could get stuck, just so it prevents people from sort of going outside the boundaries and sort of ruining the game a little bit by either A, going ahead and sort of passing through objects where they're not supposed to, but I will show that in the research journal. So now that the players found 2 out of 3 keys, earlier it said about finding a power core or some form of electronic device to open up the door to allow access to the other key. So when the player comes up here, they're presented with a broken bridge. Now obviously this is only simplistic, but the player needs to then find some form of driftwood in order to rebuild the bridge. So the player again has to go on a bit of an adventure. There's this like little nook that I created inside the in this cave section where I hid the driftwood out of the way, so that if players failed the jumping puzzle towards the door, then they would probably notice it and see, oh right, there's a little hidden item in here. Just so it provides sort of a bit more engagement for the player, and it's not just like really simple linear design. So now moving on up to the top, we'll place the bridge down, and we'll continue to hunt down the keys. So as you can see, the bridge is now there, now that the player has access to the driftwood. And this was just another sort of, I tried to keep use the torches as ways of guiding the player to a degree, so the players would obviously follow the light. This object here, this sort of big container, it was just there for sort of design purposes to sort of try and convey that more industrial look. So here now the player has found the power core, which obviously opens up the last key and enables the player to go and actually get the key. Now the players would have to obviously backtrack at this point, just so so the players can obviously see where they haven't been, which is really important. And obviously they're teased with this when they come through here for the first time, and now obviously the player has got all 3 keys, so they're able to open up the final door. But a lot of this, design-wise, I wanted to keep it really sort of. Initially, I wanted to keep it like Castaway style, but I decided to try and put something different in there, so I added in this sort of robotic aesthetics and future technology. I'm just going to skip that little bit there. But yeah, as the player now comes with the 3 keys, the objective changes, and the door will open with a nice little animation. And there we go. Current objective is now to escape. The player will land by the teleporter at the end, and that's the end.